Hello everybody, this is Joey here from the Chart Guys. I've been trading for 7 years and learning under Dan for 6 of them, and now live down here in North Carolina, about 20 minutes away from him, and I'm here to talk about some crypto. As everybody knows who's tuning in right now, we've got some pretty bullish short-term action going on. Bulls certainly bought the dip from that sucker punch low last Wednesday, and now they're quickly here confirming a weekly bull flag. So we've got that new line in the sand support at $40,750. And as long as that is support, then bulls maintain full control there. So let's look into some short-term control as bulls kind of squeeze on up here. And I'm liking a 15-minute uptrend, bigger picture here for our short-term control. And certainly looking for some pullback here sooner than later. If we pop on our historical RSI indicator, we can see we're nearing up against these 15-minute historical overbought levels. So after this move, just as it has been the whole way up, the first thing we're going to do on the next pullback is evaluate backburners. Are bulls buying up 5-minute oversold conditions? Are bulls buying up 15-minute oversold conditions? So on and so forth. So in the even shorter term here, it looks like we've got 2-minute 12 EMA support. So we're not going to get any 15-minute consolidation underway until that breaks, and just got a little uptrend to be watching there. So as we know, this has been the Bitcoin show, and the dominance chart shows that it is continuing here. And a very easy way to see that is very few alts have hit new highs like Bitcoin. If we look into how this played out on Bitcoin, it was really the equilibrium zoom out game, where you get an equilibrium on one time frame, that breaks, then you end up getting an equilibrium on another time frame, that breaks, and we walked all the way out from the hourly ultimately to the 12-hour, had this 12-hour equilibrium, and this is the follow-through on the bull break from it. So bulls couldn't have asked for anything more. And as we've talked about before in these streams, the more bulls run into an ETF headline, the greater the odds are of a sell the news event. So got to be cautious on that. But again, we don't need to predict, is it going to be the sell the news? Is it not going to be sell the news? The chart will show us. If it's sell the news, we'll get a big old spike up, and then it will come back down pretty quickly. We'll blow through our back burners, and we'll start to lose uptrends. So don't really have to predict, and we can just be walking up stops if we're trying to protect positions. And another way that you can protect positions is picking on a weaker alt here. So if we kind of pop through and look at what some of these weaker alts are doing, these names all hit lower lows beyond that sucker punch low. So let's go, I guess, to the 12-hour, since that's what we're looking at on Bitcoin. We can see ADA lower lows, OP hit lower lows, Uni lower lows, AXS lower lows. You get the idea here. So we can pick on some of these weaker names that have a ton of room from resistance, so that if we do get a positive headline and you want to give your Bitcoin a chance to go to the moon, then you can be looking to play another instrument to the downside. So lots of room for a lot of alts for lower highs. And if you look at Bitcoin dominance here, going back to the daily, we know we've got this daily stair step up. Many alts, their alt BTC ratios have the same stair step to the downside. So that just tells us that Bitcoin is continuously outperforming alts here on this move. So let's see, let's check out on Bitcoin, get another little update before we look at other things. So it's still just this 2-minute 12 EMA. Bulls continuing to trudge higher, and this is partly potentially on a tweet from Gary Gensler. I'm not much of a fundamental guy, but fortunately we have a bunch of people in the chart guys who are all over it, and they're interpreting it as him potentially kind of trying to distance himself from this ETF stuff, and the hypothesis would be ahead of an announcement. So January 10th is the final deadline for the ARKK Bitcoin ETF. So we'll see. Only a couple days away at this point. And even aside from all that, we can just look at the charts, and the charts are telling us that bulls are still in fine control And that's that. So we'll just keep going with that. So let's see here. Let's move on to Ethereum. So before we even get into Ethereum itself, if we look at ETH BTC, we are hitting fresh lows. So now we're nearing that key support from June 2022. We know we've got this quarterly equilibrium here. And if that support were to break, that would be yearly consolidation getting underway for Ethereum against BTC and just show more sustained relative weakness. If we look at this yearly chart, looks like actually it is technically underway with the break of the end of last year, but bears would need to see follow through below the 2022 candle if that's going to be the case. So ETH weak relative to Bitcoin, but ETH itself, the chart's still fine, and there's definitely a lot weaker alts out there. I'm liking the weekly 12 EMA as the guide for full-on bull control on ETH USD. So that makes 2100 clean the most important support. And we have got a 12-hour uptrend to be watching in the intermediate term. And in the short term, I reckon we look pretty close to Bitcoin. 2-minute 12 EMA just now being lost. That is our 15-minute consolidation getting underway. And we're riding the 15-minute 12 EMA. So as long as 15-minute 12 EMA acts as support on this pullback, then we won't be seeing any hourly consolidation. But if we lose that 15-minute 12 EMA, hourly consolidation going to be underway, and anything over 2257 would be an hourly higher low. And let's pop back to Bitcoin and look at that hourly chart because we've got a nice hourly uptrend here as well, with tons of room for an hourly higher low compared to 44,667. So bulls hoping that this is some frontlining of an ETF announcement or this or that. You want to see 5-minute oversold, mark your hourly higher low. So it's still very far away at this point. We can turn on our little projector tool and kind of approximate it. And this will walk up this line. I know it's probably kind of hard to see on the live stream, but that'll walk up, I would imagine, maybe around like 45,200 or something like that if bears were to take over short-term control from here. But we'll just go one step at a time. Set your alerts for your back burners, and when those alerts go off, you don't just YOLO into it. You look, you see if you got to set up maybe a 5-minute stair step, a 1-minute trend change, something like that, because the last thing we want to do in this headline-sensitive environment is get sloppy with our trading. Everybody's got to make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's right now, because at any moment we could have big time volatility. Because we're talking about the ETF approval. What if it gets denied? It could be a quite a sharp sell-off. And there's all these tiers. I'll pull up something that someone just shared in chat here. Shout out to Moongazer. Just pull over Slack. You can see the community that we've got here right now. And this is the ETF kind of layout for what's going on. So the reason January 10th, we're talking about that today, is that that's the final deadline for this ARK ETF. So you can see these other ones still have all these dates. So this song and dance that we've got going on, as tedious as it is to navigate, it can go on. It can certainly continue to go on for a while based on their, deadlines that they throw out. The old quad deadline operation. I think that's so funny. Is it really a deadline if you have like another deadline and another deadline? But that's besides the point. So let's see. Let's look at LTC. This is another weakling, and you can see it here even just on the 5-minute chart. You compare that to Ethereum and Bitcoin. It just continues to be weak here. LTC BTC, 3% down on the day. We know that it is effectively in black dirt breakdown right now, and nothing's changing on LTC unless we get over 3-day 12 EMA on LTC BTC, and that's just that simple. So this is another one where if you're looking for bear positions to kind of balance out your exposure on any further upside from here, look at all the room you got to work with on LTC. So certainly going to be looking for a daily lower high compared to 75.94, and be looking up to that daily 12 EMA if bulls can see a little more follow through. So getting on to some of our strong alts. So INJ, we were talking about this last week after the sucker punch. As soon as bulls got this daily bounce underway, we were able to say, all right, we're working with a potential weekly bull flag, but bulls will need to regain the daily uptrend if they want that to increase in probabilities. And that's exactly what we got. We got our daily lower high, higher low, and now higher high here today. So we're just looking up at 44.86. And if we go out to the weekly, we can see that weekly bull flag taking shape up at all-time highs. So as always, focus on blue sky bulls is valuable and important. And INJ is certainly one of those. So lots of room for a 4-hour higher low. And this is worth noting that we are still just straight off the low on the 4-hour. So while our daily higher low is set, you need your smaller nested time frame to get its trend change if you want to have full confidence in that. So let's see, maybe 15-minute 12 EMA support. We lose that. That'll be the first sign of some 4-hour consolidation. And you can see how this is just the Bitcoin show. Basically, since that Gary tweet came out, Bitcoin's doing that. And we've got our previously strong alts just kind of plateauing here. So let's see, ICP is another one with a ripper of a day. It didn't end up giving us the clean daily 12 EMA higher low as it had been for a couple months here, or I guess just a month and a half, but nonetheless, very strong bounce here. And we've already retraced more than half of this move down. So we're topping out in the golden pocket right now, but bulls are hopeful that this can be a weekly bull flag, going to need to regain a daily uptrend if that's going to be the case. Bears are hopeful that after riding daily 12 EMA for so long, like the standard EMA rider play, you ride the EMA, once you lose it, you try to get that downtrend and see further follow through. So a bit of an in-between spot where there's certainly bull hope and bear hope here on ICP. And let's see, we got SEI, another one of our blue sky bulls, and we got bulls trying to hold this daily 12 EMA. They initially tried to hold it pretty clean, but bears ended up taking it down to new lows here today, but seeing a decent bounce. So bulls going to need to get up and over 72.82 if they're going to get a daily higher low set compared to 55 cents. And shout out to Tom from the chat room. We were all kind of watching this the other night as we're testing daily 12 EMA. And he said, you know, I'm going to wait for bulls to negate this rising wedge before making an attempt. And if we go in here to the hourly, this is that little rising wedge that he was watching. And despite breaking the high of the previous day, he exercised some caution, and that rising wedge ended up playing out and following through. So kind of a good example of how you can kind of temper what you're doing based on how the patterns are shaping up and what the charts are telling you. And ultimately, this ended up being kind of difficult to get this bounce off the lows in hindsight, but nice to avoid downside in your account by identifying a bearish pattern on something that you're looking bullish on at the moment. So TIA USDT, another one that just V-shaped up 2 new highs after that sucker punch last Wednesday. And now we're going to be looking for a daily higher low here. Tons of room to form it over 936. And we have got a 4-hour downtrend as our guide. So nice bounce off the lows here. And if bulls are going to shape up that daily higher low, they need to regain a 4-hour uptrend here. So that is on watch as it's one of these blue sky bulls, and we know the power of blue sky bulls. So looking at a few other alts, we had a handful that had nice double bottoms off of the fear low here. So we got Matic, double bottom, trying to get the daily bounce underway. Definitely one of our weaker names, but not as weak as these ones that went to lower lows. So we'll be looking for a daily lower high here. Anything under 103 would do it. Looking at Soul, another double bottom name, and going to be looking for a daily lower high here compared to 116.95. Daily bounce already underway. And the question here is going to be, is it a weekly bull flag, or are bears going to see deeper weekly consolidation? If it's going to be a bull flag, bulls need to bounce a little bit further here. It looks like we're nearly to the 0.5 retrace. Actually, I think we've just popped over by a skosh. Yeah, we're pretty much right at it right now. So if we can get another leg up, that increases the odds that bulls have created enough room to form a daily higher low and higher high, try to regain that daily uptrend to get a weekly higher low set here. Sushi, another one with the double bottom. Bulls just getting the daily bounce underway, but certainly looking for a daily lower high. And most of these are all straight off the low on the 4-hour. Soul, Matic, Sushi, all these weaklings as well, straight off the low, and we can see a little relative strength coming into ADA. Previously weak, maybe gaining a little strength now, but that doesn't change the fact that we're looking for the daily lower high. But to get back to SOL here, very nice bounce off the lows, but bulls will still need a 4-hour uptrend if they want to be confident in follow through on the setting of this, or the initiation of this daily bounce. So 15-minute 12 EMA guide in the short term, and once that's lost, we'll look for that 4-hour higher low. So let's see, I think we had one more APT. Looking at the 4-hour double bottom, nice 4-hour bounce, but looking for that lower high, and bull's going to need to regain a 4-hour uptrend if anything is gonna change. So that's that. That's pretty much the stuff I'm watching. Let's check back in on Bitcoin, and then we'll get into chat. So Bitcoin continuing to chug along. 2-minute 12 EMA acted as support once again, and upwards and onwards. A little 15-minute stair step to be watching, and let's see if we ended up nicking that historical overbought. Nope, not quite. So close, but not quite. Let's see what y'all are saying. We got Philip. Man, we all miss Dan. Dan is the absolute man, so you are not alone on that. But the big thing is Dan's not gone. He's just living his life a little bit. He's been working tirelessly for years on end at this point, so definitely time to get some life consolidation and stay up late at night, not need to wake up at 5 in the morning. So he's still gonna be around, he's still gonna stream, he's still making videos, and he's still been kind of shockingly active in the chart guys. It's like, this restructure, and Dan, I almost feel like, is posting more than he was before. But on that note, if you miss Dan, he's still doing his Twitter stuff, and he's still doing a ton of stuff in the Slack community here. Let's see, Revy, what up, what up? Koran Bell, thank you for the support. Hello, hello, what up, what up? Let's see, happy to be here. OG Itchy, let's see, anybody got some tickers? What are y'all looking at? Appreciate the support in here, everybody. Let's see, trying to find some tickers. Let's see, Special K. Saw someone talking about 200K BTC incoming. Yeah, that's typically how it goes. When we were at 69K at previous all-time highs, everybody's talking 100K. When we were at 15K at the recent lows, everybody's talking 10K and 3K. So that's the general cycle of, you get the herd and the hype and the euphoria, and then it all turns on people. Then you get the max fear and FUD, and then it turns on people. That's what keeps the market world turning. And that's why it's nice to have some structure to what we're observing. And that's what I would say, that's what TA does for me, that I'm not just viewing this based on emotions and what I think and this and that. We can objectively identify what the heck is going on. And when we do that, that keeps us from acting emotionally, and instead acting based on a system with an edge. Let's see. Special K, do you mean buy one of those to get the catch up, or do you mean those will drop more as a short? Well, I certainly don't mean buy or sell anything, because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a technical analyst. But in terms of, the technicals of these things, you can, and this is the beauty of charting, is that there's very often something to satisfy bears and something to satisfy bulls at nearly the same time on the same chart. So aggressive bulls can certainly be playing these previously weak names on this bounce. It's more difficult to get in on, because what's your setup to get in off of this low? I guess actually zooming out, that was pretty nice there. Weekly 12 EMA on ADA. So let's see, how could that have been gotten? I guess just 15-minute stair step into weekly 12 EMA. Little bullish divergence on RSI ended up playing out pretty nicely. So an aggressive bull, the most aggressive bulls, look for the shift between relative weakness back to relative strength, because your percentage gains will be bigger. So if we run our percentage gains on this bounce, that's 18% there on ADA. Whereas let's look at like one of these double bottomers, Soul, 17, so pretty close. You know, that just kind of makes it tougher to warrant going for the higher risk play. We got 13 on Matic, Sushi. We've got 16 APT, our fourth double bottomer, only 13. Let's see what some of these other weaker ones are doing. OP, seems like everybody's kind of in the same ballpark, you know, 13 to 18. So with that, I care more about the clarity. Like this ADA one's a bit of an exception because we did have weekly 12 EMA. We're looking for a weekly higher low, so that does warrant a shot there. But in general, if you think about, you know, how am I going to get this play off the ground safely? When you have something with a double bottom and we see many other names flushing down to new lows, and you can just buy here, put your stop there, have very minimal risk on it, I will take that trade probably 7 times out of 10. And then if I'm feeling real aggro, that's when I'm going for these weak names, try to go for the grand slam on it. But it's just so much easier mentally. It's so much easier as far as your trade game plan to play these relatively strong, or not that this was relatively strong, the relatively strong ones held healthy higher lows, but a clean setup. Clean setups are nice for active trading and is definitely a priority in terms of what we're scouting. But to kind of circle back to the beginning of your question, Special K, you can be doing both. Bulls can be playing, looking at like ADA. Aggressive bulls can be playing this weekly bounce. But if a weekly higher low is going to shape up, bulls are still going to have to confirm a daily uptrend. So bears who are playing with the current like status of relative strength, relative weakness, will be looking for these daily lower highs. And very often, I like to have some bullish names and some bearish names that I'm scouting and trading. And it's not uncommon at all for me to be short one name and long another name and have them both work out, because there's so much varying relative strength and weakness in the space there. So bears definitely going to be looking for daily lower highs on all of these alts in both lists here at this point. Let's see, we got some ASTR pump going on. Oh no, that's Tahir trolling. Let's see, ASTR USDT, definitely a solid pullback off of the top, and that is our weekly consolidation getting underway. So if you remember last stream, said if we lose daily 12 EMA, that's the first sign that some weekly consolidation is getting underway. So nice move off of the lows here, 20%, but we'll have to see. Do bulls bounce big enough to create room to regain a daily uptrend and get a weekly higher low set? Or do bears confirm a daily downtrend and give us more confidence in a temporary top here? Let's see, ICP bulls have been respecting 4-hour oversold. Let's take a look. Yeah, that was the 4-hour oversold back burner. And since the bottom here, since down at $3, we've been holding 4-hour oversold conditions. So good eye there, Dylan, on that. And that's another one of the things that, like, while this is a tougher trade than if we had just held daily 12 EMA support, as we had been, you know, you can zoom in, use your stair steps, see if we had a 5-minute downtrend, 5-minute 12 EMA resistance, and 15-minute, not quite a stair step, it popped there and then came back down. So whether you're playing a 5-minute trend change, 15-minute stair step, something, if your larger time frames tell you that there's a reason to be looking for a potential change in character here, then that's when you go in and you fire off a shot, whether it's a trend change, stair step, wedge, inverse head and shoulders, whatever. That's going to be different from each trader. People are going to have their preferred patterns, preferred entry techniques. You know, maybe you like to give yourself a zone and just take small scales with a stop below 10 or something. You know, it's going to be different from everybody. I prefer to try to hone in on a spot and use like a 5-minute trend change, stair step, something like that to get on more size with a stop, and then just give it multiple attempts if need be, versus scaling in, especially in this environment. because, if a headline drops that there's no ETF ever, there's going to be a huge dump, and you don't want to get caught giving back half of your gains or more from this beautiful bull action that we've had for pretty much all year at this point. You don't want to risk giving that back trying to be a hero when we know that things are getting ripe. Let's see, we got ARB USDT looking for a 4-hour higher low. Yep, so we have bulls doing their darndest to form a daily higher low compared to 146.30. Very nice move off of the lows, and we're coming up to 4-hour lower high resistance 188. So bulls in full control of the bounce, but if we reject and get that 4-hour lower high, then bulls will certainly be looking for the 4-hour higher low and trend change to try to shape up that daily higher low. And let's see if we got an EMA that we're riding. Maybe just 2-day 12 EMA, simply. So last 3 pullbacks have been right off of that. So we can say as long as that support, bulls maintain their control. And as far as a guide for this 4-hour bounce, got a nice 15-minute uptrend, 15-minute 12 EMA support. Let's see, popping back in on SEI, USDT for BT. Definitely a weaker bounce here. Percentage-wise, I'm sure it's juicy, 23%, but structurally, it's weaker, given that we topped out at 8 a.m. and are not even back up to those highs right now. So we are still looking for this daily higher low, and like everybody else on these 4-hour bounces, we're going to need the 4-hour uptrend. So this is actually very similar to ARB, where, let me get rid of some of these lines. 1 second. Get out of here. Get out of here. So if we reject from these 4-hour lower high resistances, so that's 72 cents, then it'll be a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders that we're looking at on a lot of these alts to try to get some daily bounces underway. So checking out Rune for swervers. Rune USDT. So Rune, another one of our weaker ones, we broke out of this falling wedge that we were watching last week, and now we're back testing this low. So weaker in the sense that it went to lower lows after the sucker punch, but let's look at our weekly context. So we are still certainly looking for a weekly higher low, and anything over 146 would be one. So that's eons away, and we're battling around these EMAs right now. So if Rune bulls are going to regain some mojo, they're going to need to regain a daily uptrend. So if we get above this 496, then that'll be a daily bounce getting underway. But anything below this high at 616 going to be a daily lower high. So going to need to regain that daily uptrend. And let's see, I'm going to leave the wedge on there now, just to use it as like trend lines. Like obviously the psychology and initial hope for the pattern is out the window, but that's still a fine downtrend resistance line, and that's a fine downtrend support line. So let's see, 4-hour, we're testing our lower high resistance at 498, and like everybody else, going to need to regain a 4-hour uptrend if any mojo is going to shift, and mid-tier bounce, 15.87%, so not bad, but you can see structurally, this is more in line with Bitcoin on the bounce here, whereas if we compare it to SEI, how we've topped out, or even INJ, how we've topped out and gone sideways, we've got Rune seeing some continuation. So let's look back at Bitcoin and just keep an eye on it. So we do have that 15-minute consolidation underway, lost of the 2-minute 12 EMA, got it going, and got a little 2-minute downtrend as we scout a 15-minute higher low. All right. Let's take a look at Algo USD for Monica. Algo USD. So Algo is looking for a weekly higher low and bouncing off of weekly 12 EMA at this point. So zooming into the daily, it's another one that we can put in that double bottom. It's a slight lower low without follow through, but more or less a double bottom. And daily bounce is now underway. So we'll still be looking for a daily lower high compared to 2446. And question will be, can bulls regain a daily uptrend to get a weekly higher low set. So looking at the 4 hour here, we have got a 4 hour stair step. 15-minute doesn't have a lot of clarity. Let's go to the hourly. So we've got an hourly uptrend as our guide for this 4 hour bounce. So once that's lost, we'll look for the 4 hour higher low and see if bulls can get the uptrend to get that daily bounce underway with some more confidence there. Let's see. Ryan V says, hit my BTC fib extension sell targets today and that you set a few weeks ago, going to stick to plan even if it could go higher a bit. That's the way to do it, man. Acting out of TA, not out of emotions. And, you know, if a headline delay comes out or something, you'll certainly be happy that you did that. So talking about targets, let's see, I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. I'm going to share some of the targets I'm looking at from a volume profile perspective. These are the pulls, got a handful of them kind of overlapped on each other, and you can see how these things still just, they ding through all of these. And, you know, in one sense, you can be like, oh, well, you got 5 different levels that it could top off of. You know, how do you know which one? You know, you don't know which one until your smaller time frame trends show you that this level is proving to be important. So I'm just looking at these all the way up. If we get a bull reaction, I'm looking at basically 48K, 49.5, and if we get above 49.5, say like 50K, then there's a big gap of space from a volume profile perspective up until the upper 55Ks. So, you know, if you're in TheChartGuys, this chart is posted in there that you can kind of reference. And if you're not, you can screenshot it. And these are all just points of interest. If we dump, I'll be looking to buy dips at 33.3 if we get there. If we pump, I'll be looking to short rips at 56 if we get there, and anywhere in between. And that's when you can just like set up a 15-minute stair step or something. You don't have to bank on being right on this level. You can just know that, all right, we're at a zone where there are greater odds of change here. Let me see what I can set on up. Let's see. For George, would you rather wait until the 15 Thor, or are you just going to play the charts? I don't know what the 15 Thor is, my friend. Thor is a coin, right? Kind of a tough one to chart, and definitely weak doing its own thing if we're talking about Thor USDT. But to answer your question more straight, I'm pretty much always just playing the charts. I know what the headlines are doing. I pay attention to the headlines, but I am acting on the charts there. Hold on just a second, everybody. I've got to let my cat in. Come on in, sweet potato. Come on. I'll say hi to everybody real quick. This is Harrison. Bye, Harrison. All right, back to the charts. Thanks, Vic. I appreciate the support, my friend. Yeah, you know, Rob H., I certainly kind of said that in jest of no ETF ever. But we've got to always keep our minds open to anything. And again, talking like bigger picture Bitcoin, will it be shocking if we form a, let's go to actually Coinbase, BTC, USD. Will it be shocking if we form a 6-month tightening range like we did back here? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So anything below 69K would be a 6-month lower high. But got to lose the monthly uptrend if that's going to start to shape on up. But you know, am I betting the house that we're going to form a 6-month lower high? No, I'm taking the new information that's given to us each day. But if we set a 6-month lower high and pull back to 25K to tighten up like we did back here, am I gonna get wrecked on that? You know, Potentially, but it would only be from active trades that I've freshly initiated. It's not going to be because I'm, blindsided by that possibility. Let's see, let's take a look at Mina for Karan. Mina USDT. So Mina, let's go to the monthly. So we are in a monthly stair step straight off of the lows. We have weekly consolidation underway. We're riding weekly 12 EMA, and we got bulls trying to get a decent bounce underway here. So still got to get the daily bounce underway. That would require breaking 119 if it's going to happen here today. And it'll just be step by step with our trends. So we've had 4-hour 12 EMA. We're up and over now. So that's bulls creating room to regain that 4-hour uptrend. And if they can do that, that'll be our daily bounce underway. And then we'll need to do the same thing on the daily time frame if we're going to get a weekly higher low set above the 12 EMA. If we lose the weekly 12 EMA, that'll be some monthly consolidation looking to shape on up. And let's check out near USDT. So bigger picture. Okay, so we are also straight off the low on the monthly stair step. We broke monthly lower high, and we've got a weekly uptrend with weekly 12 EMA support. We got bulls trying to bounce a decent bit above it. It's another one of our double bottom names, clean double bottom on the alt here. So bulls trying to get that daily bounce underway. Got to break the high of yesterday, 353. I'll just call it 354 if that's going to happen. And like everybody else, got to regain the 4-hour uptrend. So anything below this 370 would be a 4-hour lower high. Got to regain the 4-hour uptrend to get the daily bounce underway, and then got to regain the daily uptrend if we're going to get a weekly higher low set. But if bulls get the daily bounce underway, anything below 433 is still going to be a daily lower high. Let's see, looking at ENJ USDT for Carlos. ENJ USDT. All right, so this one went to lower low, so we've got it in this lower low category, and it looks like it is seeing relative strength on the bounce, 16%. Let's zoom out though. So this thing's still quite weak. It's definitely one of the weaker alts throughout 2023. We hit new 2023 lows in October. So decent bounce, 110%, but not that decent when you look around at the numbers that other folks are putting on up. So this could be a monthly inverse head and shoulders. That's bull hope. If we're talking about bigger picture momentum shift here, you've got to hold this low at 20 cents and go back up and break this high at 43 cents. So weekly, we've lost weekly 12 EMA. That is our monthly consolidation getting underway just by a skosh. Let's see, the low was 27.59 and now we've got 26.54. So the question will be, can bears confirm a weekly downtrend from here to see deeper monthly consolidation, or can bulls bounce more than halfway of this pullback to create enough room for a weekly higher low and try to regain a weekly uptrend? So that's what we'll be watching here, but it's definitely relatively weak. And when you've got so many relatively strong names out there, kind of tough to go for a weakling. That, as I was saying earlier, like if you're feeling aggro, then more power to you. And I definitely get it, but it's tougher business. So the nice thing though is now you've got this 4-hour bounce. If you do want to be aggro about it and do want to try to play a weak name bullish, you got a clear level to be going off of. And that is this 26.54. Bull's going to need to regain a 4-hour uptrend to get a daily bounce underway. Then going to need to regain a daily uptrend to try to get a weekly bounce underway. So when you got all these trends against you, you got to go one at a time, regaining them. So tons of room for a daily lower high on this bounce. 39.74 is that resistance. Anything below it would be one. So we can go up another 33%. Yeah, 30%. And still be below daily resistance. Let's see, looking at Link. Link still relatively weak. So yeah, Link we know is in the category that already has monthly consolidation underway. Many alts don't, and we're going to be looking for a monthly higher low here. So it's relatively weak in general, but watching for that to potentially change if bulls stay in control in the space as a whole. daily bounce is underway. It was relatively strong in the sense that we held the flush low, got a higher low on that into a 14% bounce. So not one of the stronger bounces, but structurally over the past week, it's holding on better than a lot of other alts here. That doesn't mean we're not looking for a daily lower high compared to 1606, and bulls need to regain the daily uptrend if they want to get a weekly bounce underway and have us say, all right, this was a loss of the weekly uptrend without follow through, which tells us zoom on out and look for that monthly bull flag. So lots of room for a 4-hour higher low. Next, consolidation. We got a 15-minute uptrend in the short term. Looking at ORDI for Revy, ORDI USDT. So ORDI, a new little baby of a coin, has only known the good life of going up. You know, tough to pick a low on these listings, but let's see, we probably got 2-day 12 EMA. Yeah, 2-day 12 EMA this thing is riding. So we've got bulls trying to hold it here. And as long as 2-day 12 EMA is support, then bulls are groovy. We got our daily bounce underway. Anything below this 92 would be a daily lower high. And bulls, let's see, need to regain a daily uptrend to regain some control here. So if we were to go to another round of higher highs without follow through, we would have to potentially watch for a bit of a rising wedge. But rising wedges, when you're in a really bullish environment, rising wedges are not a high probability play. Rising wedges are high probability when you're looking for a lower high on a larger time frame. When you're in blue skies, a rising wedge is not that valuable. And that's kind of why I'm not putting a lot of weight into Bitcoin's higher high without follow through here. I mean, look how much we saw that back here and here. When you're in a bullish environment, rising wedges are not nearly as powerful as if you're looking for lower highs. So always something to keep in mind there. Special K, thank you. Thor means rune. Got it. And I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the support. Let's see. Yeah, that cat, his name is Harrison. He's it's just me and him here ripping charts all the time. He's getting to be an old boy though. I had him since he was a little peanut. My homies in college picked up a stray. She got knocked up. He was one of those kittens. So had him for a long time, but he's like 12 years old now. Starting to get old, but he's still got some spice. Still got some spice. Let's see, George says on the 15th, they're going to announce another Bitcoin ETF approval. Let's start with the first one, and then we'll start looking for next ones. Nope, we've audibled 25th, 15th. Maybe George is trolling. Let's see, looking at GRT USDT for Bastion. GRT USDT. So let's start with the monthly. So we got bulls trying to get a monthly uptrend for the first time ever on this thing, but we've got a clear double top at 23.22. We got 22.52, and what bulls want to see from here is a cup and handle, where if we do see some consolidation here, you got your cup, you want your handle, and then go back through that double top. So that's the monthly. Weekly, we're just riding weekly 12 EMA, and we got bulls trying to bounce from it now. As long as weekly 12 EMA is support, then bulls maintain control. We got a daily bounce trying to shape up, stair step straight off the top. It's in our category that went below the Wednesday lows, and I'm assuming got to get a 4-hour uptrend like everybody else. Many alts have this structure of the 4-hour 12 EMA down to lower lows, now into a strong bounce. So if you're looking for that weekly higher low, the most aggressive entry would be, or the most aggressive bulls are already in, but at this point, the aggressive entry would be looking for a 4-hour higher low from here, having your stop below the low, and looking for that trend change, scaling some out into the bounce, trying to get risk-free, but we're certainly going to be looking for a daily lower high compared to that 22.52 if bulls can get this bounce underway from here. Let's see. Thank you, Tyler. Definitely have looked at, wait, is CSPR? Is that the stock CRISPR? No, CRSP is the stock CRISPR. Yeah, let's look at the crypto coin. I guess we'll do the KuCoin exchange. I've never looked at this one. So monthly bounce underway, nearing all-time highs at 6 cents, and got a pretty big pullback off of here. This thing is volatile, so 25% off of the top. And like many names, looking for a weekly higher low. Got bulls trying to buy the dip. And as long as weekly 12 EMA is support, then bulls maintain that control there. So daily bounce is trying to get underway here. We did lose the Wednesday. This one's actually in a kind of a category of its own where we saw a V shape after Wednesday and then now came back down and lost that. So bull's going to need to regain a 4-hour uptrend to get a daily bounce underway with confidence, and then going to need to regain a daily uptrend if we want to say that this is a daily bear flag or daily downtrend confirmed without follow through, and have us looking at a potential weekly bull flag. So got all these kind of battling time frames here, because wouldn't be shocked to see a quarterly lower high compared to all-time highs. But that's not going to shape up if you don't lose the weekly uptrend. Let's see. Harrison USDT, please. And maybe next stream. Yeah, Mike on a bike, 12 is not that old. But if it's an outdoor cat, their life expectancy is decreased pretty significantly. And Harrison is a tough mofo. I wish he wasn't. He likes to battle everybody. His life revolves around defending his turf. He's got this ongoing fox war that goes on where he pissed off a whole den of foxes, and they'd come over to the house in the middle of the night and do that demonic scream, just screaming at the house while Harrison's inside sleeping. It's crazy. So it's a tough 12. All right, let's do one more and then gonna wrap it on up. Let's do Mana. Look at some meta. Not Mara, Mana. How are these poor names doing? So relatively weak, lost weekly 12 EMA. On the monthly, we're testing monthly 12 EMA, rejecting. And if bulls are gonna change anything, bigger picture, they need a monthly uptrend. We do have bulls trying to bounce here, trying to get the daily bounce underway. Got to get a 4-hour uptrend if that's going to play out. So bulls are playing off of 39.45. We got a 15-minute uptrend and 12 EMA as our guide for the 4-hour bounce, and continuing to push on higher here. So let's see, is Bitcoin still pushing higher? No, so we got some relative strength. We know it's a weakling, but relative strength in the bounce for sure. But only 15%, only 15%. So it's not anything too crazy. So big question will be, can bears confirm a weekly downtrend? Next bounce to see deeper monthly consolidation, or can bulls bounce more than 50% and try to regain the weekly uptrend and set a quick monthly higher low? So that is that. Thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate all of the support. If you like charts, if you want a community to trade with, check out the Chart Guys, chartguys.com. We got a sweet new website that Toby, one of our pillars, created, and he's the guy behind the back burner indicator, and he made a beautiful new website. So all sorts of stuff on there if you like the Chart Guys. If you're just chart curious, check out the YouTube channel. Insane amounts of just free stuff there. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. We do live streams, we do daily updates, we cover MJ. I know a lot of y'all trade other stuff as well. MJ, let's see. MJ it's hitting 5-minute back burners. So this is now a decent update for here from where I was looking earlier, but 5-minute back burner marked the hourly higher low this morning, but now coming back down to these lows. Looks like some daily consolidations underway, but in terms of the headline hunt, if you just love all of this ETF headline bonanza with Bitcoin, then you'll love a DEA rescheduling headline with the cannabis sector. But going to be lots of opportunity here at some point. So that's all I've got. Thank you guys for tuning on in. Thank you for the likes. We got 95 likes. If we can get that up to 100 so Dan doesn't fire me, I'd appreciate it. And look forward to seeing y'all at the next one. Have a great day. Stay diligent. Respect your stops, respect your max loss, and do well out there. I'll see you guys at the next one. Take care.